So I know it's been a hot minute since I've made any content, and just want to let you guys know I have a lot on my plate, and hopefully this will be a more consistent thing. One of the things I kind of plan on doing is like filming a lot of like individual stories, but maybe like at the same time, and maybe cutting it down into smaller videos as I learn how to edit better and stuff. But like that's a process. Like I said, everything's kind of a process. But I've got some fun, interesting stories, um, and these are things that I know that have really happened, and I often find that real life is way more terrifying than anything that you or I could even conceive in a fictitious manner. And I'm going to tell a few stories I know from my personal life, maybe growing up, or even just working, about these real world occurrences that that should concern you, and they do concern me, and maybe it's because of my close proximity to the things that have happened. But this first one, I want to extremely stress that it's nothing to say negative about the now woman that I'll be talking about. She's an extremely sweet and caring and beautiful person, but I want to talk about like it's just how easy it was for this to happen to her. And I'm gonna preface this by saying, like, the thing that's always inspired me to get into making videos and doing YouTube and all this kind of thing is, in my small town there aren't a lot of opportunities, and I'm not even really looking at YouTube as an opportunity at this point, because I don't really ever think that the kind of content I make would ever be financially supported by anyone. But it's a creative outlet. It's a fun way to expose myself in this little kind of bubble I have here in my very small town. And it's to give you a kind of reference. My graduating class was, I think, about 100 people, and there was a girl, really nice girl. Not gonna name names or anything, but she went to one of those churches where they wore the long denim skirt and they grew their hair out real long, and they had she always had these very beautiful, like, intricate braids, and she sang beautifully. I'm sure she probably could still if she wanted to. And she was a really fun, like, bright person to be around. And I remember one time we were, all the other kids kind of really didn't like, it's not that they didn't like her, but she kind of found herself in places, like, maybe, like, she didn't have anybody eat lunch with her or anything, so, like, she would come eat with me and my mishmash of weirdo friends, because, like, I was kind of a weird kid, I was kind of emo, so, like, I had, like, short hair, and I know it's all weird to imagine just from this video, but go with me here. Like, a lot of my friends were gay, and it was a good time, because when you're, like, from this area where everything's really rural and conservative, and, like, the most popular kids in school wore camo every day, it was a mess. So I remember we were talking to her one morning about how she met, like, her boyfriend. I think it was at lunch, and we were all kind of talking, and like, let's just preface this by saying, but, like, there's, like, literally nothing to do here. So, like, teenagers develop some damn serious relationships way before it's even healthy. Like, this is a horrible area for that. And she was she was telling us about how she had met her, like, fiance or whatever, and, wow, I'm gonna feel gross repeating this, and, I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, that's neat, and she was, like, 15. I asked how old he was, and she's like, oh, he's 25. Little weird, but, like, when you're 15 and you're a girl from around here, like, oh, older guy, like, whatever, it's kind of a normal thing, and that's kind of gross too to, like, admit, but, like, it is kind of a normal thing that happens here. And the weirdest thing that she told us about this story that really stayed with me, and she said that, I was like, oh, I was like, well, how did you two meet? He's like, oh, she's like, church. I was like, church? And he's like, yeah. He's like, whenever I saw you singing up there on stage as a little girl, I knew I was going to marry you. Is kind of her, I'm paraphrasing her, but that's kind of the gist of the quote. And I was like, okay. And that struck me as weird, and I didn't understand why that struck me as weird. And, now I kind of understand why, because, like, I was literally, like, adjacent to a whole weird grooming situation, and I didn't even know it, and I didn't even know what this was. I thought it was, like, I don't know, I thought it was weird, but, like, I didn't want to ask any questions, because I didn't want to, like, offend anybody, and I just, like, looking back on it as an adult, it just really stays with me. And just in case you're curious, because I have to admit that I was, and I have no intentions of like shaming this person for their lifestyle or anything, but like she's still married to the same person, which if she's happy, like, awesome. Should they have a litter of kids, from what I understand. And yeah, it's one of those, like, church situations, but, like, it's just so weird, like, looking back on the situation and, like, seeing it from an outside perspective when you're so close to it, and then, like, not understanding that you didn't have a full understanding of it at that time, and you needed to, like, learn more about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And you'll hear me, I'm not a good, like, I feel like my thoughts come faster than, like, my mouth can keep up with, so, like, I mess up my words a lot, and I'm not really good at editing that out yet, and I'm really, really sorry. So, just bear with me while I learn how to deal with this. But, going back to what I was saying, like, I feel like a lot of times, like, when you express concern for these people's situation, it comes off as judgment toward them when you don't really mean it that way. And that's kind of like what I was trying to avoid, but, like, something just did not strike me as right. And now, all of these years later, like, all of the pieces of the puzzle kind of clicked into my head. And I was like, oh my god! Like, it was just this, like, terrible epiphany I had one day. Like, oh my god! And, it just kind of goes to show you, like, it's not, like, teaching kids the proper words for their genitals in classrooms. It's not acknowledging that different sexual orientations exist. It's not all of these things grooming kids. It's literally this weird women belong to men purity culture that is so ingrained in these fundamentalist churches. And I watched it with my own two eyes, not even knowing what it was. And even though I felt there was something wrong, I could not vocalize or interpret what that, I guess, threat I sensed was. And it just kind of goes to show you, like, how normalized this kind of behavior gets when, like, nobody, like, really speaks up against it, or there's not, like, a really, like, vocal opposition towards it. And, like, you have to kind of, like, think about how many people it takes to okay a situation like this, and it is disturbing. So with that said, that's kind of like our little dark story for the evening, and so we have that. We have a couple of other dark tales to go through, and hopefully the spooky lightings have been like, I'm trying to give like light, I get like a spook vibe with this ring light and this light off thing, but I don't know if it's doing it for anybody. It's not doing anything for me. But I do, however, want to tell a couple more like creepy tales, creepy real life tales actually. Now the other couple of tales I have are a little bit more like, if you want to consider them paranormal BS, but here's the thing, like, other than the few experiences I've had in my life, I can solemnly say, like, I'm a pretty logic and fact driven person. If I don't see like a reason behind it, like if I don't see like actual evidence to support this thing, like I can't logically or ethically like support it. Now here's the thing, like, maybe not ethically, but like logically and like, reasonably, that's what I meant, reasonably support it. So like I'm a very like reason driven person, like and this is like, I am still, and I'll get into this too, this is its whole thing, but I am an anti-theist that respects other people's religions' right to believe whatever, as long as that particular version of theism does not do any type of I don't like superiority complexes. I don't like things that encourage people to like kind of see an innate sin or bad part of people's lifestyle. And for the longest time, like, I thought I fell under like more of the Satanist umbrella, and I do think they have some pretty good tenets in Satanism, but I find myself leaning more anti-theist than anything. Anyway, so stay tuned for all of these weird aspects of my personality filmed and uploaded to the internet and more, as we dive into the dark, scary, spooky month of October. And these are all, things that I have personally witnessed and experienced. So if you want to call bullshit on it, fine. But it honestly creeps me out to tell a couple of these stories. So you'll kind of get to see me go full like, regressive memory mode. So peace out. I will see you next one. Bye.